In 1996, LEGO graced our collections with the now classic Western theme. That first year saw the release of such iconic sets as Sheriff's Lockup, Gold City Junction, and of course, the legendary Fort Legoredo. These were all amazing, and I think everyone, myself included, would have been pleased as punch with more of the same when the following year rolled around. And while we did receive a few new cowboy sets, for the most part, LEGO decided to take things in a completely different, but perfectly logical, direction. Even though I was only 11 at the time of their release, I still remember being like, oh yeah, that's perfect, when I first saw the 1997 lineup in the July-August issue of Mania magazine. So, do I still feel that way nearly 3 decades later? Are these sets worthy to sit on the same shelf as Bandit's Secret Hideout? Well, that's what we're here to find out in Season 2 of the Wild West Retrospective. Welcome back to TrikBrix. Hello again, everyone. I'm Jamie. Well, I said we'd return to the Wild West someday, and that day is finally here. And we're going to kick off the second and final season of the Wild West Retrospective by taking a look at 6748 Boulder Cliff Canyon. Quick obligatory disclaimer. I will be using the terms Native American and Indian interchangeably during this series. According to Brixset, the name of the subtheme is, after all, Indians. I have nothing but love and respect for the culture, and if any Native Americans are watching, I sincerely hope no offense is taken, as none is intended. Released, as were all of the Native American sets, in 1997, Boulder Cliff Canyon contains 250 pieces, 6 minifigures, and originally retailed for $40 in the US. At the time of this review, that's about $78 adjusted for inflation. What you're looking at here is hours and hours of digging through bin after bin of my brother and I's childhood collection, trying to rebuild this set to its former glory. The bricks are definitely well loved, so I hope you'll excuse the scuffs and scratches. Obviously, had I known as a kid that TrikBrix was going to be a thing, I'd have been more careful sloshing bricks around while looking for that next piece I needed, but hindsight is 20/20, as they say. We'll get to the reason I didn't just buy a new one towards the end of the video. Boulder Cliff Canyon was the second to largest set in the Indian subtheme, and it all rests on this awesome 32x32 Desert River baseplate. It's just a recolor of the standard curved road plate, but it does such a good job of giving the set more life and vibrance, and the riverside atmosphere really clicks with me so much more than just a standard tan baseplate would. Much like the curved desert road in Bandit's Secret Hideout, it would have been amazing to get a straight version of this, but alas, that never happened. Beginning our tour here in the front corner, we have an element that baffles me. Not because it lacks form or function, it's absolutely spot on in both of those departments, but what puzzles me is the fact that it's no longer in production. This part would be perfect in so many modern-day applications, from city sets to the forest moon of Endor. Seriously, if you don't have any, pick up a few on Bricklink next time you get a chance, because they're one of the best retired parts out there. There's plenty of room inside for a minifigure to hide out, and all along the top are bar-sized protrusions, perfect for clipping things to or hanging things from. Per the box art, we can turn it into a little weapons cache by adding a bow and quiver. The only thing about this part you might not like is actually sticking it to the base plate. This requires lining up a lot of studs in a very specific spot, but once you get it, you're golden. Moving clockwise, we could probably wade across the river, but why not take the family canoe out for a spin? Believe it or not, this is the first of a handful of rare elements we'll be seeing today. The canoe in Old Brown only ever came in 2 sets, Boulder Cliff Canyon, obviously, and in the largest of the subtheme, Rapid River Village. There's plenty of room inside for a few minifigures, and of course we're given an oar, as they kind of go hand in hand with the canoe. I will say though, it would have been nice to have gotten a pair. But we do get one of these amazing printed shield elements mounted on a spear up front here. Across this entire sub-theme, the printing is next level, especially for the time, and these shields are no exception. 3 are included in this set, 1 with the horse motif and 2 with the buffalo headdress, and both designs are equally amazing. Once we cross the river, we find ourselves at the base of Boulder Cliff. Luckily for our tribe, scaling the rock face is made easier by the inclusion of a ladder, which is much appreciated. There's a small platform here with a bush, the perfect place to station a lookout. Next to that is what I'd call the set's main play function, and the obvious source of the name Boulder Cliff Canyon. It's precariously held in place by this branch, which is attached to a plate with a Technic pin. So all you need to do is move it to the side and the boulder comes crashing down to the ground. It's a simple but effective play feature, and you could either see it as a booby trap or just natural rockfall. The boulder itself is made up of some rare parts that only came in this set. All of these quarter slopes in light gray, both regular and inverted, could only be found here. It's a bit of a shame, I think, because they're absolutely perfect for creating interesting rock work, but their exclusivity can make amassing a large stash of them difficult. As it turns out, this boulder is also a great place to hide stuff. All you have to do is pop off the tile and it cracks in half to reveal a spare bow and arrow. I don't really like the fact that these are black, so one mod to this set I'll be making is to replace them with light gray. If the boulder doesn't take you out, the rattlesnake might. There's a nifty little chute at the rear where you can drop in one of our serpentine friends and out he pops from this tiny cave, ready to strike any unlucky passers-by. A similar play feature can be found on the opposite cliff as well. This is such a simple inclusion, but it goes a long way in adding playability. Moving back to the ridge, I think this cutout in the cliff is supposed to represent the beginning of the canyon. And to get across, we have to traverse this precarious log going from edge to edge. This is just held in place by gravity, with a little help from these 1x1 corner panels. Since it's primarily made up of round bricks, there aren't any studs for the minifigs to attach to, so only the bravest and most adept of the tribe can cross it. But one wrong move and the whole thing comes tumbling down. As you can see, Boulder Cliff Canyon is a scary place. While it's nicely peppered with foliage and even a gray parrot, which I imagine is meant to represent a vulture or something along those lines, the rest of the cliff face is purely for support and decoration. If we spin it around, we can see that there aren't any hidden treasures or anything in the caves back here, which would have been a nice addition. You can get a better view of the snake slides here and here, but that's about all there is to see. At the very least, we could add a little campfire in this cave, something for the tribe to tell stories around. I think this makes for a nice little scene, with only 2 parts added. Back around front, another great place for them to congregate is in this teepee. These were one of the standout additions to the Western theme, and they just look perfect. Across the sub-theme, there are 2 different versions you can acquire, and this one clearly belongs to the Medicine Man, since his buffalo headdress is emblazoned above the entrance. You can stick a minifigure in this way if you want, but to gain proper access, you'll need to unwrap the cloth layer by detaching it from these specially designed supports. Besides a small fire, it's pretty bare inside, to say the least. But it's Lego, so that just means we get to use our imagination a little. You could add some bedrolls, a place to store weapons, some firewood, etc. These are all parts that were available in 1997. I always have to laugh when I see people complain about the lack of detail in certain sets because it's so easy, not to mention incredibly enjoyable, to add your own. Back outside, we get one of the biggest mistakes LEGO made regarding historical accuracy. This totem pole looks great, at least when taking into account the parts available at the time, but it shouldn't be here. Either that or the teepee shouldn't be here. The whole idea of teepees is that they're mobile, easy to break down as the tribe migrates across the plains. But totem poles are stationary objects and are predominantly found in the Pacific Northwest, far from the desert-like setting we have here. I imagine that either the designer, Jorn Thompson, missed this fact, Or he wanted an easy way to add a pop of color to an otherwise drab palette, and figured kids would be none the wiser. That said, I do like the look of this, and it definitely livens up this corner of the set. We also get another fire identical to the one in the teepee, this time with a cooking pot, and another shield on a spear. The Native American minifigures were a cut above the rest in 1997. Their printing and detail was next level, and a slew of new molds were introduced to further accentuate their uniqueness. We got new hairpieces, new feather elements, and new headgear. 5 brave warriors are included in Boulder Cliff Canyon, 4 male and 1 female, and in addition to them, we get the Medicine Man. Every figure in the set features leg printing, which is unheard of these days, and the attention to detail is just outstanding. My feelings about the face prints are torn. We had seen minifigures with detailed eyes and noses before. In fact, in the previous year's Western sets, we had Flatfoot Thompson. But I still think I would have preferred something more along the lines of what we got in the Islanders sets, a variation of the classic Smiley. Either that or something like the few figures we've seen in the CMF line. It certainly makes these stand out, but I'm glad LEGO didn't decide to continue in this direction. A slew of weapons are included, bows, spears, and tomahawks, which look great with the then new feather element clipped to the handle. It wasn't just the humans who got over-the-top printing. These horses are probably the most detailed LEGO has ever produced. They too get the realistic eye treatment, which I'm not really a huge fan of here either, but the rest of the printing is exceptional, with detailed blankets, bridles, and spot patterns. These 2 different variations were spread throughout the sub-theme, and it's nice that we get both of them in this set. Fun side note, I found this curiosity I'd made as a kid when digging around for the parts for this set. Obviously, LEGO stole my idea for spotted horses back then. They clearly copied my design to a T. Rounding out the wildlife are the 3 black rattlesnakes and 2 gray birds. Boulder Cliff Canyon has a lot to offer for what I would consider to be a medium-sized set. Lots of play features, a great selection of minifigures, and it has nice shelf presence. And it really looks incredible when paired with the other sets from the Indian sub-theme. But is it worth the roughly $200 value it seems to be holding at the moment? If you have the funds and/or you're a completionist, I'd say go for it. But if you're just looking to add some variation to your Wild West collection, or just want to experience building a Native American set, I think you'd be better off picking up one of the slightly less expensive offerings, like Chief's Teepee, because while I honestly do like Boulder Cliff Canyon, I can't say that it's worth what folks are asking for it these days. And if I hadn't already had the parts in my collection, buying this now would have been a tough pill to swallow. Part of the high value could be attributed to the fact that it had a limited release, according to Brixset. I'm not sure about the specifics of that though, so feel free to share any info you might have in the comments. And even if money is no problem, I also understand that a lot of people take issue with these sets for their representation of Native American culture, and I respect that. But I think a 100% historically accurate representation of all American Indian culture packed into 7 sets is an impossible expectation. These toys were never meant to be a replacement for your history book. What we got was a distillation of nearly 600 North American tribes into a small sub-theme aimed at kids ages 5 to 12. They made mistakes. They made stuff up. There's no denying that these sets are a caricature of reality, but if you stop and think about it objectively, so is literally everything else LEGO produces. In the end, the only way they could have avoided any offense would have been not to produce these at all, and I think that would have been a real shame because there are some great things here. And we're going to take a close look at all of those great things in the near future, so stay tuned. But that's all I've got for you today, so until next time, thanks for watching, take care, and play well!